Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Sister Wives one-on-one continued in tonight's Sister Wives program. But most of the ex-wives didn't want to be friends with Kody. Not after they split up. Especially after he said he had never loved any of the ex-partners. The luggage rack is the clearest illustration of Kody's past selfishness in the marriage. Every time, Kody would place his own bags on the rack. The luggage of Janelle and Christine was left on the ground by him. They needed to find a way to get upstairs by themselves. If Mary ever obtained the rack, she would not disclose it. Robyn freely acknowledged receiving the rack. The conversation seemed petty to Mary. According to Christine, it demonstrates how unfairly Kody treated them. Janelle concurred with that conclusion because Kody valued appearances. Go camping. For Kody to compliment Robyn on her makeup, Christine and Janelle would be working extremely hard to cook and clean. Additionally, Robyn would ensure that the children were well-groomed. For Kody, those were the important things. The previous wives didn't matter to him. The fact that they were trying to make the vacation unique didn't matter to him. Or so the saying goes. Regarding what transpired, Kody holds a different view. Robyn said she was helpful. Both of them believed that once Christine and Janelle left Kody, they became more cruel. Kody even went so far as to claim that he now disparages them since he was defending himself. They spoke a great deal. Not one of them was Mary. Mary is unwilling to become engaged. She went out. Now she felt happier. She has a solid network of supporters. She wishes to simply move on with her life and cut off her financial ties to Kody. She was Kody's favorite ex-wife because of this. Compared to when they were married, Kody now respects her more. Throughout their marriages, he showed no respect for his first 3 wives. He had little regard for them as moms or wives. Since she now had David, Christine's decision to leave was the greatest one for her. One of David's sisters managed to avoid polygamy. He was aware that in order to maintain control, the husband frequently started arguments between the wives. In fact, David was initially terrified to date Christine. Fortunately, their bond was strong enough to aid in her recovery, although he was concerned that she could still be traumatized. Later on, Christine talked about her initial encounter with Kody. Ironically, it was just like the first time he saw Robyn. It was at church when he first saw them both. He looked them in the eye. He reported to them both that he had been struck by lightning. They had the same sentiment. After Christine left, he retracted that statement, yet he still made same statement about Robyn. Robyn was never the same. When he met her, he was married. The courting of a prospective 4th wife is typically brief for polygamists. If it was with the first wife, it was one thing. The 4th wife usually becomes a member of the family considerably earlier. Robyn was courted by Kody for a year. He didn't do that to Christine or Janelle. It was the sensible thing to do, he argued, to marry them. Mary, he claimed, was unique as it was a meet-cute. He would say more than just cute. It has to be adorable and witty. He seemed to be saying that they were not actually acquainted. Even if he didn't know Mary well, he couldn't claim that she didn't know him. When Mary was 18, she met him. He was her first committed partner. She was quiet and bashful. She frequently let him speak most of the time. And she would just listen to him converse with other people. It never occurred to the old Mary that a man as great as himself would ever like her, much less marry her. In those days, she worshipped him. He gave her a sense of security, and she fell deeply in love with him. He hasn't been that safe haven for her in a very long time. His statement that he never felt secure with anybody but Robyn also hurts. When Kody had an affair while attending college, he violated his moral code. He was so ashamed that he kept it a secret from everyone until after they were married, Mary. He was supposed to save himself for marriage. He also kept Janelle and Christine in the dark. In the first month following their meeting, Kody informed Robyn of this. Upon viewing the old video, Kody expressed regret for his statement that he had never loved any of his ex-partners. Yes, he loved them. He claimed that Mary was a safe haven for him and that he honestly forgot how personal they had been at first. He says 1,000 paper cuts killed their marriage. Meanwhile, Mary was taken aback to learn that he had forgotten their near proximity. That was fascinating to her. She refused to elaborate. This also applies to Kody's Mormon naughtiness. Suki seemed to be hinting to Kody's sexual orientation. He quickly ended that chat. She was making a joke about him. It's uncertain if she was acting in the manner he claimed she was. The one thing that was obvious was that Kody's feelings for Robyn changed immediately. They spent a year courting. If Janelle had been given a whole year to court him, she might not have married him. Kody quickly became acquainted with her as well. He filled her in on every detail of his life. They said that the day they became engaged was when they shared their first kiss. Before they got engaged, Christine used to wonder if he had slept with Robyn. Robyn refuted that. Kody refused to discuss his sexual life or lack thereof. According to Robyn, they followed the text exactly. She has no idea what Christine was discussing. Robyn and Kody detest the way his ex-partners discuss them. Additionally, she and Kody have now come to an arrangement. They promised not to discuss the other if they ever split up. Kody detests his present relationships with his ex-partners to such an extent that he has no desire to engage in polygamy ever again. Monogamy was fine with Kody. Christine was content to be monogamous. Mary even declared that she was now monogamous. An Earth mama, Janelle was willing to try anything. David utilized a dating service that Christine wants to show Janelle. It is intended for farmers. Janelle adores farming. Because Janelle despises certain dating apps, she might not use them, but she might find the ideal guy that way. She prefers to meet people the traditional manner. She is eager to see them face to face. Mary ought to go out and socialize as well. Mary hasn't been in a relationship for a while. To get her back in the saddle, her best buddy was prepared to purchase boxes of protection for her. Mary was the one who hesitated. She quit being polygamous. She departed from Kody. She simply didn't know how to return to being single. She was a young child the previous time she was unmarried. Robyn longs to be polygamous. As long as there were some assurances, she was prepared to return to it. And neither Kody nor life provide that. On Sister Wives, Kody Brown's romantic past was questioned. The 56-year-old father was asked by host Suki Krishna on Sunday, June 15th, during the fourth segment of Sister Wives, one-on-one, if he had any other sexual experiences prior to his first marriage to Mary Brown. He mentioned his time as a high school athlete and added, "I was a little bit wild, but I wasn't. There were other options that got close," he remarked. "I was being bad Mormon." He explained, "It means I would kiss and hug, but no actual intercourse," in response to a question about his meaning. Krishna answered, "So that's like first base, second base, third base, and no home run," and he affirmed that there was no home run. Kody interrupted after Krishna continued to compare his sex life to athletics. "You know, I'm going to stop talking to you about this out of consideration for my wife," he said. "You guys can act like it's no big deal." Kody responded, "No, we just crossed the line, so it's done," to Krishna's statement that we're just having some fun. Before she formally joined the family, Christine Brown, the first wife to leave him in November 2021, also inquired about her ex's past relationship with Robyn Brown, his only surviving wife. In December 2022, Kody announced a split from Mary, and a month later, his separation from his second wife, Janelle Brown, was officially verified. Christine remarked of Kody and Robyn, "We've all seen their engagement photos, and I just automatically think, I wonder how close they got before they were married." Christine said, "Sexual experience, whatever that means," when questioned if she meant that they had sex before being married. He even entered her bedroom, demonstrating how at ease he was in her home. "That is a great deal of conjecture." Christine said, "Well, I don't know," without committing, as though Robyn would go there. "That's what I'm thinking automatically." It would have been just yet another lie, according to Christine. "They lied about everything, so you know how close they were," she continued. "Come on, the fact that he was usually over there. They only told lies. Simply put, not to be trusted." Christine said, "I would have been even more hurt if I had known that he had told her things that he never told me," in response to Krishna's question about if that would have affected her acceptance into the family. I'm not sure if anything would have changed. Who knows? But hearing that now is heartbreaking. Even my marriage to him has ended. What a slap in the face, isn't it? Really? Come on, she continued. He's merely bringing that up to say that she's superior to you. Compare, compare, compare. Christine's idea was quickly disproved by Robyn, who asserted that there was no sex prior to marriage. Regarding Kody, she claimed, he didn't kiss me until he asked me to marry him. Additionally, it was a stamp rather than a kiss. His face crushed mine, you know. There wasn't anything particularly erotic about it. He asked me to marry him, she said of their first kiss. He can't live without him, which is why we're sitting in his wonderful little sports vehicle. Yes, I said. Then he grabbed my face, and then he kissed me. She continued. It seemed like this was now finalized. We got engaged. She responded. There were chase kisses, little church kisses, when asked if the couple had any naughtiness afterwards. However, that is it. Oh, no, nothing, she said bluntly in response to Christine's question about if there was more than just a kiss. Church kisses, little. Something you can perform in front of your bishop, pastor, or other authority figures. Sister Wives Kody Brown recalls his days being Mormon naughty before first marriage with Mary. What he just admitted will leave you stunned. Before the cameras, the confessions, and the crumbling of a once tight-knit plural family, Kody Brown lived a life far removed from the polished patriarch fans first met in the early seasons of Sister Wives. In a rare and candid moment, Kody recently reflected on his early years, long before he ever courted Mary, the woman who would become his first wife and the original matriarch of the Brown family legacy. Speaking with unexpected vulnerability, Kody revealed that he wasn't always the rule-abiding, faith-led man viewers associate with polygamy. In fact, he described his young adult life as Mormon naughty, a phrase that instantly sparked waves of shock and intrigue across the Sister Wives fandom. But what does that really mean, and how did those so-called rebellious years shape the complicated, controversial man who would eventually father 18 children and pursue 4 simultaneous marriages? Growing up in a devout fundamentalist Mormon household, Kody was taught from a young age that obedience, structure, and religious discipline were cornerstones of a faithful life. However, by his own admission, he struggled to internalize those values as a teenager. I didn't exactly rebel, Kody said, but I tested every boundary I could without getting thrown out of my house. In this deeply personal recollection, Kody hinted at a side of himself fans rarely hear about. The thrill-seeking, spiritually restless young man who often found himself entangled in what he calls gray sins, not criminal, not immoral by secular standards, but deeply frowned upon by the faith he was raised in. He elaborated, I wasn't drinking or doing drugs, but I was definitely sneaking out, dating when I wasn't supposed to, and questioning every rule my church laid out. I was living in that limbo, not fully breaking the commandments, but not exactly upholding them either. What's perhaps most shocking is the revelation that Kody's flirtation with disobedience didn't end when he met Mary. If anything, it intensified. I think I was attracted to Mary because she was so devout. She balanced me. She made me want to be better. But I was still carrying a lot of unresolved wildness in me. According to Kody, his courtship with Mary was both passionate and turbulent, filled with long talks about faith, life, and their shared dreams of living the principle, but also complicated by Kody's lingering immaturity and his desire to experience more of the world before settling down. Looking back, I wasn't ready to be anyone's husband, he admitted. But Mary believed in me. She saw something stable in the chaos that I didn't even recognize in myself. Kody's use of the term Mormon naughty has since gone viral, sparking everything from memes to heated online discourse. But there's no mistaking the seriousness in his tone when he describes the emotional burden those years carried. I felt torn between wanting to honor my family's faith and wanting to carve my own path. There was a part of me that loved the freedom of not following every rule. But I also carried the guilt like a boulder on my back. Every time I'd look at my parents or go to church, I felt like a fraud. Those internal conflicts may have planted the earliest seeds for the complicated trajectory that followed. Kody explained that once he committed to Mary and entered into their plural marriage lifestyle, he attempted to suppress his more rebellious instincts. But doing so never came naturally. Polygamy, at least the way I understood it, demanded absolute submission to faith. And I had to bury a lot of doubts. That got easier when I had multiple wives to focus on and children to raise. But deep down, that part of me, the kid who didn't want to be told what to do, never fully went away. And I think it came back to bite me later, in ways I wasn't ready for. Indeed, fans have long speculated that Kody's ever-shifting attitudes about leadership, faith, and fairness within the family were rooted in unresolved issues from his past. Now, hearing him admit to an early life of semi-rebellion reframes much of what we've seen on the show. Perhaps his rigid moments of rule enforcement were an overcorrection, an attempt to prove he was in control. Perhaps his favoritism toward Robyn stemmed from a desire to feel validated and adored, compensating for the emotional confusion of his youth. Perhaps even his frequent clashes with Mary, Janelle, and Christine can be traced back to a younger Kody who had never fully accepted the structure he was born into. What's more, Kody's confession raises questions about authenticity. Did he ever fully believe in polygamy, or was it a role he learned to play because it brought him acceptance and purpose? There was a part of me that wanted to impress God. I thought living plural marriage would make me holy, righteous, like my father. But I wasn't always honest with myself. I loved the idea more than I loved the reality. That line, spoken with unusual rawness, may be one of Kody's most revealing admissions yet. It suggests that the man we've watched over nearly 2 decades was in some ways acting out a role, not just for TLC cameras but for his community, his family, and maybe even for himself. Kody also revealed that before his marriage to Mary, he had serious doubts about the sustainability of plural marriage, especially given his own inability to remain emotionally grounded. I questioned whether I could handle one marriage, let alone 4. But back then, doubt was considered weakness. So I buried it, like I buried everything else. Ironically, that buried doubt has since surfaced in painful ways, from Christine's departure to Janelle's growing independence, and Mary's eventual separation. Each unraveling thread of his family may be less a symptom of outside drama and more a result of Kody never fully healing the wounds of his younger, conflicted self. Interestingly, Kody's Mormon naughty phase wasn't entirely about personal rebellion. He also admits to challenging authority and exploring unconventional ideas about spirituality and freedom. I read a lot. I asked questions that pissed off my elders. I didn't just want to believe because someone told me to. I wanted to know. And I still want to know. That's part of why I struggle so much with control. I want answers, and when I don't get them, I act out. It's a strikingly human admission from someone often portrayed as prideful or domineering. Kody may be many things, controversial, dramatic, flawed, but in this moment of self-reflection, he's also just a man trying to reconcile who he was with who he's become. As the Sister Wives series continues, Kody's revelations may mark a turning point in how fans perceive him. Rather than seeing him solely as the polygamous husband who played favorites or made hurtful decisions, viewers are now being invited to witness a deeper, more complicated internal struggle, one that began long before the cameras rolled. Whether or not Kody ever fully overcomes that struggle remains to be seen, but one thing is certain, his admission of being Mormon naughty opens a fascinating, unfiltered window into the early years that shaped the man behind the headlines. In the end, this confession may not absolve Kody of his more recent missteps, but it certainly adds context. It paints a portrait of a man who wasn't always the spiritual leader he was expected to be, but who wrestled with temptation, identity, and self-doubt just like anyone else. And as Sister Wives enters its next phase, fans will undoubtedly be watching to see whether Kody uses these reflections to grow, or whether his past continues to haunt the foundation he spent decades building. Either way, the truth is finally out. Before the wives, before the spotlight, before the sprawling family dynamic, Kody Brown was just a restless young man walking a precarious line between devotion and defiance. And now, for the first time, he's not afraid to admit it. Indeed, Fans have long speculated that Kody's ever-shifting attitudes about leadership, faith, and fairness within the family were rooted in unresolved issues from his past. Now, hearing him admit to an early life of semi-rebellion reframes much of what we've seen on the show. Perhaps his rigid moments of rule enforcement were an overcorrection, an attempt to prove he was in control. Perhaps his favoritism toward Robyn stemmed from a desire to feel validated and adored, compensating for the emotional confusion of his youth. Perhaps even his frequent clashes with Mary, Janelle, and Christine can be traced back to a younger Kody who had never fully accepted the structure he was born into.